is a sign to where God is sending you.
George Duke. Somebody say, I'm not much, but I'm everything I am because you love me.
Superman can fly high.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope you can all hear me. If you can hear me, just do me a chat and I can confirm you can hear me. I want to welcome everybody to this evening's session on the Impact Life series, powered by Impact Your World Leadership Initiative. Thank you, Oluwasegun, for that feedback. And we have been having this series for about 5 weeks now, and we have had different sessions that addresses different aspects of our life and endeavor, especially with the COVID experience that we're in at the moment. And we've sought out to address some of these issues, helping young people, young adults, citizens alike on how to deal in the COVID era and post-COVID era, because there's a new normal that we all cannot do without that has come because of the pandemic that the world faces at the moment. And before I continue, I just want to ask everybody that I hope we have all been staying safe, because it is important that we stay safe. Yes, government has been easing a few things lately. There's plan that schools will resume for those writing exams in secondary school. And there's also in the news, especially in Lagos, that the worship centers will now be reopened next week. But this does not mean we should let our guards down. Again, this does not mean we should let our guards down. At Impact Your World Leadership Initiative, we are saying to you that please stay safe. Wear your nose mask, keep social distance, and take a lot of fluid when you need to. Please stay safe. Do not let your guards down. Having said that, today we'll be having a session that addresses starting a business in crisis. As you agree with me that the world over, there's a deepening crisis, economic, human, that has been created due to this pandemic. And it is those that prepare and thrive during crisis that will sustain all of the growth that they need to sustain even in the crisis. So that's why we are discussing today, how do you start a business in a crisis? Because when crises come, that's when a lot of businesses shut down. But how do you start one? How do you sustain one in a crisis? And that's what we are going to be talking about today. You're welcome. If today is your first time of coming in contact with Impact Your World Leadership Initiative, I'll quickly just give a lowdown of what Impact Your World Leadership Initiative is about. We're a leadership foundation founded by Engineer Akin Odumakinde, who is a Nigerian like you and I. If you're a Nigerian, that is passionate about leadership. If you would agree with me that Africa is the richest continent in the world, yet Africa is the poorest continent in the world. That is obviously a paradox. Are we the richest yet the poorest. So it means that there's a missing link that has kept Africa, even with our vast resources, mineral, human, and all of that, yet we are not able to attain our best potentials as Africans. And the missing link is leadership. And that is what Impact Your World Leadership Initiative seeks to fill, to fill in the leadership deficit in the African continent. And by extension, anywhere you can find Africans in diaspora. So we have leadership clubs in 9 Nigerian campuses where we mentor young people on how to do it in leadership. And we also have leadership clubs in Houston, in the United States, where we are also engaging young African students on how to lead. We believe that when we catch them at that very young formative years and show them the ropes and tenets of leadership, then when 10, 20 years down the line, they get into public space or corporate space to lead, they will know exactly what to do. They will know the best practice. That leadership is not about self-aggrandizement, but leadership is service. Leadership is service. Leadership is not what we see in the African continent today, where people get into leadership spaces and they want to take things for themselves. Leadership is about giving and giving and giving and giving. It is about service. And that's what Impact Your World Leadership Initiative is set out to do. And we have been doing this since 2012. And this year makes it over 8 years that we have been doing this as a foundation, raising young leaders with vision to change the African landscape. So I want to welcome everybody once again. Very shortly, I'm going to be introducing our speaker, and I hope that we all have our notes because she's a faculty member at Lagos Business School. So she's going to be giving you a thorough lecture on how to start a business in a crisis. So you want to take notes. So if you don't have a pen or paper, you want to get one. And also if you have questions, I want you to note your questions. When the time is right for questions to also come through, I will be opening the space for questions to be asked. At best, we might have to ask you to send in a chat so it will be well coordinated. But if we may need to unmute the microphone for you to speak, we may have to do that as well. But either way, get your questions ready and and introduce our speaker because I think she's ready right about now. As to speak on this subject. So today we are starting another session on the Impact Life series that we have been doing for a few Sundays now. Last Sunday we talked about building your brand. Building your brand. And today we are talking about starting a business in crisis. And today we have Dr. Henrietta Onwuegbuzie, and she'll be speaking to us on starting a business. Quickly, Dr. Henrietta leads sessions in entrepreneurship on the MBA and executive programs at Lagos Business School, LBS. She's currently the academic director for the owner management program and project director for the Impact Investing Policy Initiative at the school. She worked with the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, from 2012 to 2014, playing an active role on the technical committee responsible for coming up with the theme and speakers for the yearly summit in conjunction with the public sector team. He has also presented award-winning papers at various international conferences on entrepreneurship and sustainable development in 2013. She's conferred the African Women Development Champion Award by the Center for Economic and Leadership Development. Onwuegbuzie is passionate about economic development and social transformation in Nigeria and Africa, and has initiated the creation of over 100 profitable social impact businesses through the MBA and executive programs at the Lagos Business School. It is our pleasure indeed to have the very intellectual, beautiful, I must add, Dr. Henrietta Onwuegbuzie. It's a pleasure to have you, ma. And I hope microphone has been muted so that she can begin or commence our presentation and session with us. It is a pleasure to have you. You are very much welcome, ma.
Thank you very much. So good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with all of you today. And I'm hoping that this session will be not just informative, but transformative. There's no point here in an entrepreneurship session, which I always tell my students is a doing course, without getting you up and doing to do something to change the world while you make money. In other words, make a difference, make money while you make a difference. So let me just quickly share my screen so we can get right into it. Just 1 second. I should be with you soon. Okay. So I just like to speak in a guided way so that all the important points are mentioned as we go along. Right, so we all know that we're in a pandemic. We're at a time when many people have lost their jobs, and even those who have jobs are on half salary, if at all. And people, due to the pandemic lockdowns, and people are even scared starting a business in normal times, talk less of starting a business, you know, when things are hard, okay? And the question to ask ourselves is, why are people scared of starting a business, okay? And the answer we know is fear. What are they afraid of? They're afraid of failing, okay? They're afraid of failing, and that fear gets even worse when you have very scarce means, like in a period of crisis like now, okay? And the question is that fear justified? Well, I think so, because we know, well, as I'm a teacher, and we look at statistics, and over the years, we've seen that venture-backed startup failure rates have been very high. For many decades, it's been between 75 to 80%, which means that out of every 10 people that start, 7 to 8 people fail. And guess what? In more recent times, the failure rate has gone worse, 90%. This means that out of every 10 people that start a business, 9 people fail. So that fear is indeed justified. The fear of starting a business is justified. But the question is, why are people afraid? Okay? As we said before, they're afraid of failing. And why is failure so imminent? I like the example I heard a few days ago from Dan Locke. He said, because people think that business is just be passionate, take wild risks, okay? And he said something that made me smile. He said, if you're passionate about flying a plane, you don't just go to the airport and then beg somebody there to let you fly a plane because it's been your dream all your life to fly a plane. I mean, the result will be obvious, okay? Whoever does that is likely to crash. Now, if you really want to fly a plane, what do? You go to learn, you go to piloting school. You do all the various things you need to do before you begin to attempt to enter the cockpit and be the one to fly the plane. Even after you've trained, you will be the assistant pilot for quite a while before they now make you second in command and before they now tell you before they now put the plane in your hands. And by the time they put the plane in your hands, it's because there is a 99.9 success chance that you're going to succeed, okay? And it's pretty much the same thing for a business. But what we see happening today is that people think that by putting money into the hands of people, they will succeed. So we hear people talk about, we hear governments say, we're going to fund SMEs, okay? But there's a problem with that because we're seeing here that the entrepreneurs the businesses that were looked at were venture backed, which means they had money, they didn't lack funding, and yet 90% failed. And when they say 90% will fail within the first 3 years, and another 80% or 90% will fail in the subsequent 3 years. Now, what this is telling you is that there's something wrong somewhere, okay? And unfortunately, many times we've tried to address this problem with funding. I'm not saying that money is not important. But the truth about the matter is that you don't need money to start a business. And you can start a business with what you have, no matter how small. So we'll look at that as we go along. Right, so we're going to be talking today about starting a business in a crisis and the principles for successful entrepreneurship. So they say a problem known is a problem half solved. So the first thing we want to understand is why businesses fail. What is the main reason why businesses fail? And usually we will just sit back and think, they don't have money, banks are not willing to give loans, this and that. That's not the truth. That's not the reason why businesses fail. If you want to be sure of why businesses fail, you do what they call research. Research means going around to examine, ask people, why did they fail? Why did they fail? Why did they fail? And one of the most important reasons that we found that people fail is because they start for the wrong reason. Many of us have unfortunately been schooled or socialized to believe that you start a business solely to make money. And that is wrong, okay? Because if you start with a business just thinking about where can I make money, how can I make money, you end up having an exploitative mindset to make money at all costs, including at the expense of the customers. So you want to reduce costs by all means, and if possible, charge as much as possible so that you maximize your profitability without caring about the customer and the value that they get or the experience. Okay? And examples abound. People selling stale fish, okay? People who not throwing away expired goods that you can sell off at a discounted price. I mean, it's better for me to know that you're discounting this thing because it has expired. I mean, we know that expired things are still okay for another 2 to 3 months, usually, maybe not everything, okay? But what you cannot do is sell an expired good at full price and then you stamp, you try to change the date or you stamp a new date on it or whatever. Eventually, people will find that, and of course, if you stamp a new date, you won't even know when the thing has expired beyond 2 to 3 months. Until people will buy from you, get home, open it, it will be rotten, and they will say, don't ever go back to that shop again to buy from that woman. She sells bad products or he sells bad products. Okay, so at the end of the day, by the time one has bought poor quality shoes or experienced poor quality tailoring from a particular business, they don't come back. Okay? The result is that your customers don't just leave you, they run away. And then they tell people, this business is not a good one. This particular person doesn't sell good products. And the opposite is the case when they're happy with you. They tell people to make sure they go to find you because you sell very good products at very good prices. So you need to start a business for the right reason. And the right reason to start a business is to ask yourself what value you can deliver, because value is what drives profits. The right reason to start a business is to solve a problem or to resolve a pain point. Okay? So, for example, you may be, now that people are, okay, we're now in a crisis. So we're in the perfect situation to talk about business in a crisis. At this point in time, many people have lost their jobs, as I said before. Many people are on half salary. And so affordability is the name of the game. How can I bring down the cost of things? Henry Ford was in a similar situation in America post-World War II. And at that time, Americans didn't really have money. And cars are very expensive. So very, very few people, the extremely wealthy people, were the only ones who drove cars. Everybody else drove horse carriages. And Ford said, I want to find a way to reduce the price of cars, to make it affordable to the common man. Okay? The same way GSM brought the price of mobile phones. We all know that some 20, 25 years ago, no common person could think of owning a mobile phone. Even when they were telling us that when GSM comes, market women, drivers will have phones, we're all thinking, how can that be possible? When people who are, even managers don't have phones, how can a driver or a security man have a phone? But we're all living that reality today. So the point is, Henry Ford was able to bring down the cost of cars more than 10 times, and the horse carriages disappeared and were replaced by cars. Now we're seeing something similar today with Innoson in our climes, okay? Innoson started assembling and manufacturing cars in Nigeria. At first, people didn't really trust that he would do something good. But guess what? During COVID, during the pandemic and during the lockdowns, while nobody else was selling cars, Innocent was selling ambulances because every state needed to buy ambulances to help transport COVID patients from their homes to isolation centers or other hospitals. So Innocent just focused on manufacturing ambulances, and he was the only one doing it. So he has made stupid money, as I tell my students, not from being money focused, but from being focused on needs. And if anybody knows Innocent's history, and I'm sure some of you who are very, who read a lot, would have seen how before Innocent reached the point of producing cars, he went into the business of spare parts. And even at that point in time, he was very, very creative. He was always looking for ways to see how he could, provide what nobody else was providing so that people will find what they're looking for more easily. He moved from selling spare parts into selling motorcycles, but he didn't go into motorcycles like all the other people who were in the space. He said, Nigerians deserve better than, my people deserve better than buying second-hand motorcycles, because Nigerians only bought second-hand motorcycles, and for a clear reason, they couldn't afford brand new motorcycles. So he asked himself, how can I make brand new motorcycles affordable for my people? And then because he had experience in selling motorcar spare parts, it occurred to him that if he brought in the motorcycles completely knocked down, he'll be able to put almost 200 to 300 motorcycles in a container, versus when he brings them all fully assembled, I can only bring about maybe 60 or 100 at most at a time. So by the time he was able to spread out his freight cost over 200 to 300 motorcycles, obviously his landing cost became less. He was able to create jobs for Nigerians who were helping to assemble the motorcycles, and people were not able to buy motorcycles. He was able to offer motorcycles at a price that was lower than second-hand motorcycles. So your guess is as good as mine. What happened to his demand? I mean, before he would even land, everything was clear. People would pay ahead of time. And so he made a fortune. So Innocent is a very rich man, not because of course, some people men like money, okay? And there's nothing wrong with liking money, really. But the point is, he made money from making a difference. He was able to make sure that Nigerians could use brand new motorcycles at an affordable price. So we can also ask ourselves, at this point in time, where affordability is key, what is it that we can do? Okay, so we're seeing Nigerians come up with, the key thing now with this pandemic is what? Sanitation, hygiene. And there are more than 10 or 12 businesses I see around sanitation or hygiene. Starting with the hand washing stations that we're seeing many people develop. Okay? People need these hand washing stations, but they may not know where to get it. So if you know the person who makes it, tell the person, okay, so what is your distributor price? Don't give me your price to the end user because I want to be your distributor. You take a picture because, nobody wants to be sick. So you take a picture of it and then you often go to organizations, especially the ones that have many branches. I have this to offer you and I can give you a guarantee, okay? And then you tell them what your price is and you can easily sell 100 to a bank because of course most banks will have two entrances and maybe they have branches all over Nigeria, and then you become a distributor. In fact, you will even employ your friends to help you go and deliver the ones and assemble them outside Nigeria. Now with that, you also have to supply the sanitizer that enters the hand washing stations because they're foot pedals. So you drop the sanitizer with a pedal, you wash your hands, and then you drop the soap with your pedal, wash your hands, you sanitize. So you're actually supplying the equipment, the liquid soap, as well as the sanitizer. Big business after you sold it. Then I hear, for example, that people who are now in isolation centers have to buy their own bed sheets, have to buy their own provisions, tissue paper, bottled water, aboniki, buckets, and all of that. Now, by the time somebody is sick with COVID, I hear they're very, very weak. Not everybody will have the time will be able to have the long time that somebody go and buy these things for them. Can you make a list of all the things that are needed and put your price and go to different hospitals and ask them, I can do this for your patients if you want, and I can give the hospital a commission. So any patient that comes in, as they're registering you, they're giving you a list with the prices. Are you interested in any of these things they can supply to you? Okay, I hear that the sheets have to be destroyed after each patient because they don't want to have to wash the sheets because the people washing them can get infected. So whoever can sew sheets, whoever can supply the sheets, partner, business. Okay, so with every crisis, there are new threats as well as new opportunities. Look at how you can make money from the pain points. Even when they're living in the isolation center, maybe they're living alone. In which case, they may need somebody to help them with their first day shopping or even to help them cook the soup. Partner with a smart Alec. Anybody who is living, give them this. If you're interested, we can help you shop. We can buy gari, we can buy plantain, we can buy yams, we can buy this. If you want cooked soup, we can make okra, we can make akara, we can make moi moi, we can help you buy bread. These are services that are needed. So as they're going home, and after they've arrived home, their shopping arrives and they're able to, have a meal and then cook subsequently or whatever it is. Then so that's food delivery, okay? Then of course you have logistics. People don't want to go out anymore. Our markets are not fit for social distancing. So I know some people who suffered as farmers because somebody was buying their fresh produce and those things are perishable. So what they do now, what one of them has done now, is to start helping people shop because she has a good idea of how the market operates. So she told all her friends, I can do your shopping for you. So she has a list of goods. People order. She has people who go inside the market for her. They bring the things and she packages and delivers to their doorsteps at a fee. So when people have finished paying for the goods at a good price and they know it's comparable to the market price, then she charges. She has her fee for the services she has rendered and for delivery, and it's working out. Of course, we know that if you're into tailoring, making face masks, making face shields, or making anything, or maybe even seat covers, okay, will definitely have a huge market at this point in time. Face masks don't last forever. Some of them are disposable. Some of them get torn after you wash them for a while. So it will continue to be in need. But make your face shield a good one. Okay, don't try to be so miserly that your face shield, the fabric is so small that people cannot speak when they're wearing your face shield. Give allowance for the nose, give allowance for the mouth, so people can speak while they're wearing it. And if your face shield is good, people will order in large quantities for their offices, for their schools. Now schools are about to reopen. Obviously, the schools will have to make sure that every child and every teacher has a face mask. So again, I'm highlighting how you discover opportunities in a crisis by looking out for pain points. So again, as I said before, you make money while making a difference. So pain points include also creating convenience. One of my students has the only online furniture retail store in Nigeria. And the whole idea was that he was trying to see how he could transform the lives of the roadside furniture makers, because he realized that this will make very, very good furniture. But unfortunately, sorry, Shay, would you like to record the session? I have some people who would. Could you click on record? There are some people who would have liked to join and are not able to join at this point. Okay, so the point is
it's recording. If you can hear
recording
me
already. Okay, fine.
Yeah, it's
Thank
recording.
you.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so creating convenience. So what he did was to create an online platform where he took a picture of these lovely things that the roadside furniture makers were making, and it's called domestico.com.ng, as you can see on my screen. And guess what? People at first people discourage Simo, it won't work. Nigerians like to touch and feel before they buy such high-ticket items, this and I said, okay, you know what? Based on what you have said, I won't say pay before we deliver. Once you order, we will deliver. If you like what you see, you pay. If you don't like what you see, we take it back. And this was how he started. And of course, by the time he had satisfied quite a number of customers, he started getting customers calling from Abuja, Port Harcourt, Benin, different places, even from the diaspora. In fact, his biggest market segments today are people in the diaspora who want to furnish their homes that they're building in Nigeria, Nigerians in the diaspora. So now they don't have to depend on relatives who have been cheating them, because they can now see the table, the chairs, the rugs, the settees, the kitchen equipment, the bedroom the kitchen equipment, yes, the bedroom furniture, everything that you need to set up a home or an office is available on domestico.com.ng. And within, in fact, I've never seen a business grow so fast. So you find that, within a space of 2 or 3 years, he was already huge because he was meeting a need. Okay, so the biggest mistake we have been made to believe is that if you want to solve a problem, then you're a non-profit, you should go and be an NGO or a charity. And then if you want to do business, you should be a shark. It's not true. Okay, the most successful people in business are those who have been able to make money from making a difference, from solving a problem. So again, speed. There were many internet providers before Swift came into the market. But Swift did their research. What are the pain points of internet people who use data? And they found that it was speed. Most providers were slow. And so when they knew it was speed, they came into the market with the name Swift to provide very fast internet service, data service. And that's how they entered, and they were entered successfully. So we're seeing again how different organizations, again, even availability. I tell young people, this is the best time in the world to start a business. Because now you don't even need a shop. You don't need a store. Just advertise your products on Instagram, WhatsApp business, Facebook business, or Amazon, and you'll get orders. I know people who don't own anything, but they know people who sell shoes, people who sell fabrics, Ankara, or they know good tailors who have done fantastic sales, and they say, okay, let's have an arrangement. For every pair of shoes I sell for you, give me discount distributor's price. I'll put my end user price on the website, and as they order, I come and collect. So they don't even keep inventory. But as people order, okay, I want this pair of shoes, they go and collect from the store, okay, pay the guy what they've been paid and keep the difference. So you see why I said you don't need to have money to start a business. Someone may argue, okay, at least you need to be able to buy a smartphone. But of course, there are many affordable smartphones where you can run your Instagram or your WhatsApp, and even your WhatsApp status or WhatsApp business can be another way of advertising, much cheaper. So the other day I saw some teachers on Twitter crying and saying, please help us. We've not been paid for months. My family, I have to feed them. And it was very pathetic. People were contributing money. And I thought, what a pity. This is where the educational system has failed people, because the current educational curriculum only teaches you to be a worker, an employee. But today's society needs job creators, needs more entrepreneurs. Why? Because it's simple math. We're churning out many more students than available jobs than jobs available. So there's no way everybody will get jobs. Besides, there are many pain points that need creativity to, solve them. Every problem is a profitable business opportunity. Let's see some more opportunities. Okay? Providing solutions. I'm sure some of you know Max NG, a bit similar to OPay, but they came into the market to help with logistics. They're the primary distributors for Jumia, and they also sanitized the Okada business, the bike rides. We know that those of us who have cars felt they were a complete nuisance and they should be taken off the road because many people died from accidents and all of that. And at some point, government started seizing the bikes, and because more people were, the damage, the negatives, disadvantages were higher than the advantages. Fine, there were many roads that needed these people to bring people to the main road. Many people needed it, and it was doing a great job. Even people that had cars sometimes cut their flights because they could just jump on Okadas during heavy traffic and race to the airport and catch the flights. So it wasn't that they were totally useless, but the number of people who ended up in Igbobi from fractures were too many. So Max NG, rather than say this is a problem, get rid of them, came in and started training these people, tracking them, and their main reason for entering the market was to see how they could transform the lives of the most vulnerable. In fact, their records say that they increased the monthly earnings of these people from $60 per month to between $600 and $800 per month. Okada riders for Max NG were earning more than Uber drivers. And people started having a sense of safety going on them. Unfortunately, what happened eventually, because they realized, the government realized that some terrorists were using them to transport arms, they banned transportation via motorcycles altogether for the safety of the people. But for you to see how the entrepreneurial mindset works, they moved to other states where this ban was not happening, and they continue with transportation there. But their main source of income right now continues to be logistics, which of course will increase now that people are buying more online because they don't want to go out and risk getting infected in places where there's a lot of human traffic. Okay. Similarly, farm crowding, seeing that food is very cheap in the villages. In fact, the most painful part is that almost 50%, they say 40 to 50% of the food produced in Nigeria goes to waste simply because of poor logistics, getting them from the market from the farm where they are produced to the market where the customers are to buy them in large quantities. And that's why food is extremely expensive in Nigeria. So what companies like Farm Crowdy and Kobo 360? Kobo 360 is like Uber for lorries. So if you need a lorry, you can, there's an app for you to ask them, tell them where the point of pickup and the destination of the goods. Okay. So these are very young people. It's really beautiful to see how young people these days are thinking about how to make a business out of solving Africa's problems. And this is the mindset I'm hoping to leave you with at the end of this talk. Of course, we know about Uber and Taxify, but guess what? Uber and Taxify will have a problem right now. Even I would not want to take an Uber, simply because I don't know who has sat down in that car, in that seat before me. That's a problem and also an opportunity. Imagine if an Uber driver tells you, I have a seat cover for 300 naira, and he puts a fresh seat cover for you if you want, and then you sit down feeling safe. When you leave, he disposes it and all of that. Now, the person who produces the seat cover will make some money, and you and the Uber driver will make some money, and you feel safe. You don't get infected. Okay? Or you want to go to the barber, and he puts a fresh seat cover, he covers you with something new. Even if he charges 1,000 naira more for cutting your hair or 500 naira more for cutting your hair, you won't mind, because compared to getting sick and what it will entail, that is very little. So again, you're seeing how looking at solutions shows you opportunities for a business in a crisis. Meeting a need, entertainment, pleasure, okay? And that's why Netflix has made a boom during this period. People are at home, and so they're watching more. But then again, there's been another problem. People are discovering that there's some porn sites popping up to children who are learning online. And it's a big problem. But that problem is also an opportunity. Can you imagine somebody who comes up with something that, either a film channel, okay, that has selected only family-friendly movies? What do I mean by that? Movies that are interesting, but they've either removed all the things that you don't want children to see because that's not really the main storyline anyway. Okay? Or filters I know those filters already exist, but find a way to, pop up wholesome things. You know how when we were many years ago, when they tell stories about being obedient, because this girl was disobedient and then they took her away. Tortoise was greedy, he fell, he broke his back, and that is why his shell is rough. We have stories that encourage people to have values, not to tell lies, to be obedient, to be kind. But today, children are struggling to avoid perversion, showing them LGBT things and stuff like that. So these are problems that we can design solutions to, okay? Or again, training in skills or a trade. I mean, COVID has accelerated digitization of the world. Everybody now has to go online, okay? Even the traders in the markets, whether in Alaba or in Osho, the spare part markets, or in Balogu, all of them now need to understand how to have Zoom meetings with their suppliers in China or wherever, okay, if they want to continue having supplies. That's a job for somebody, that's a business for somebody. I can help you set up Zoom meetings and also help you, set whatever. Nigerians will still want parties. Many people are having online weddings, online christenings, online things. You can become an online event planner. Opportunity again from the crisis. I know many people don't know how to make moi moi very well or akara. Huge opportunity. I know a family where the mother makes soups, the children make moi moi and akara. and they're making, and it's advertised on Instagram, and they're making money. So while other people are complaining, oh, they've let me off, these people are using what they have to get what they want. So as I said before, it's really about, if you want to know, get the best ideas, look out for pain points that you can resolve. Obviously, if you can't cook, then don't try to supply akara or moi moi without going to go and learn first of all, or partnering with somebody who can make the moi moi and akara while you focus on marketing it to people that you know, okay? Or people who go to work and say, I can supply you at break time, give them samples to taste. They like it, they say, oh, supply. They say, oh, but please, my friend wants also, and that's how word goes around. And you find that you're suddenly supplying all the working people in your vicinity. So there's so many opportunities right now. Right. So I want us to look at something very important right now. Is everyone who starts a business an entrepreneur? Because very easily people say, oh, he's an entrepreneur, he owns a business. Well, it's important for you to know the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner because they're very different. They have something in common though, and that is that they commercialize. And that's why people think that it's a synonym. You can use them interchangeably, either call somebody an entrepreneur or a business owner. But the mindset is very different, and the results too are very different. So let's take a look at what the difference is between an entrepreneur and a business owner. And I'm going to use an example to illustrate this. Okay, so imagine that Mr. A, let's call him Ali, owns a paint manufacturing company and sells paint. And then Mr. B sees that, maybe let's call him Bio. Ali has been making money since he started this paint factory. He has built a new house, bought a new car. His children now school abroad. I'm going to copy him. When in fact, I know he sells a bucket of paint for 500 naira. I will sell mine for 485, and take his customers. So Mr. Bayo sets up a company, a paint shop beside Mr. A, and puts a bold sign saying for 485 for the same kind of paint, hoping to attract his customers with price. Of course, Mr. A will sit down and say, what do you mean by that? I will show you. I'll make mine 470. B will reduce it to 460. A will go down to 450. So what's going on here? Rather than create more value, they're eroding value. They're eroding value because they're competing based on price. And this is what business owners do, okay? The entrepreneur, on the other hand, Mr. C says, this paint is good business, so. But you know what? I can actually do paint that contains fire protection, anti-inflammatory paint, because I've been hearing that there's been a lot of fires these days. So if people know that they use my paint, their nearest and dearest, their family members will be safe, because in the event of a fire, once it touches the wall, the chemical I've put into my paint will make the fire cease. Okay, and he says, okay, since I have additional quality, I will sell my paint for 600 naira. Meanwhile, A and B are reaching almost 300, almost their cost price from competing on price. But because Mr. C decides to add value to his paint, he's able to charge. Then Mr. Dada says, hey, side, and it will dry quickly within an hour. So you don't have the risk of your children or your family members staining their clothes against wet paints, And I'm going to sell my paint for 800 naira. Do you think he will sell? I think so. And the reason why he will sell is not because it is 800 naira, but because people want value. People are focusing on the fact that, hey, ordinary paint is 500 naira, but guess what? If I buy insecticide over the years, it will make up for this extra money. And then if fire burns down my entire house, I think that this extra money is enough insurance for me to decide to buy this one that will not allow fire burn down my entire house. And on top of that, quick dry. I can be more comfortable in my house as soon as possible because the paint dries faster. So I think it's worth it. I will close my eyes and, add the extra money on top and buy this one from Mr. D. Those who are tight may consider the one of Mr. C. And in fact, if Mr. A and B don't up their game, they may just find out that even if they are 300 now, nobody wants their paints. It's almost like the thing of energy saving bulbs today. Okay, in some countries, they've even banned non-energy saving bulbs altogether. Today, I saw an advert for an energy saving bulb that gave a 3-year guarantee, which means for 3 years, you will not change your bulb and it will light all through. I mean, that is super value. Okay, so no matter how expensive it is today, it's still cheaper than changing your bulb every 2 months or even every month because, at the end of the day, obviously, if you can't afford that now, definitely you have to use what you can afford. But you will still be looking forward to when you can afford to buy that one that lasts 3 years because it's eventually cheaper. Cheaper for you for light and also for your power bills because it pulls less power. Obviously, high volume buyers, will definitely go for the energy saving bulbs because it means that they have big buildings and with energy saving bulbs, their power costs come down. So you see that value chases profits. So the entrepreneur is the guy who is constantly adding more value. The business owner only thinks about profits. That's how you know the difference. And of course, who will make more money? Your guess is as good as mine, the entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs make much more money than business owners because they have this mindset of continuous improvement, this mindset of solving problems. And a problem means people are looking for a solution. And so if you, the entrepreneur, can provide that solution in an affordable way, you will make a lot of money. So how do you identify an entrepreneur? Entrepreneurs are solution driven. So they identify problems. An entrepreneur identifies problems, creates solutions or value. Okay, of course, commercializes. If you don't commercialize, you're not an entrepreneur, you're a charity or a donor. Okay, and continuously improves what he's doing. Okay, so if you meet an entrepreneur today, in 6 months' time, if you go back to his store, he has come up with something new, some added value for his customers. Okay, that's how you can tell an entrepreneur. Usually business owners will sell the same thing, as long as they're still making money until somebody knocks them out of the market. Okay, so entrepreneurs are constantly finding solutions to societal problems and they have a mindset of continuous improvement. And that is why they are called the engines of economic growth. Okay, so for example, the lorries you see today, they were not just manufactured or created. Lorries came as a result of the fact that in the past, when containers arrived in ships, many men would go and carry it out from the ship to the warehouse. And many people were losing their backs, even losing their lives from that kind of strenuous work. And then one day somebody said, why don't we have wheels and then have a platform? So we'll just slide the container to that platform and roll it to the warehouse. And everybody thought, fantastic, that's a good idea, much less stressful. And we can even get more containers off the ship within a day without having to risk our backs getting broken. And then somebody said, wouldn't it be a good idea to be able to roll these containers, not just to the warehouse, but to the final destination? So to achieve that, what did they do? They put an engine in front of the wheeled container. And that's how today you have all those big trucks and lorries that take containers along the road to the companies that own the contents. Okay, so you see that it's a reason. Many times we think that the world was created with certain things. No, it's a result of somebody thinking about ways to improve on things. Okay, so that's how we have trucks today. Lorries today. Now, let's look at some examples of people who are like this. Of course, we know who this is. Okay, that is Jeff Bezos, who is the wealthiest man in the world. We know Bill Gates, who was the wealthiest man in the world for 18 years before Bezos took over. We know Jack Ma, the richest man in China, the founder of Alibaba, and of course, Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook. Now, I'd like all of you to go and find out how and why they started their business. But I'll just give you a summary. None of these people went into business to make money. All of them were obsessed about solving a problem. Okay? Amazon to make it more convenient for you to buy books and eventually other items. Bill Gates to make it more affordable for people to own a computer and to be more creative. Imagine if you had to use a typewriter today, the quality of work you produce, especially when you're writing a book, you know. Jack Ma wanted to help small businesses be able to buy and sell more easily. Eventually, people were making money and he said, okay, pay me a commission so I can expand this. And he became the wealthiest man in China. Mark Zuckerberg was obsessed about connecting people. He said he didn't even think he would be the one to do it. He just kept on thinking about it. And eventually he was the one that came up with the solution. So, and we know how big he is today. Okay. Mark Zuckerberg is about 5 times the size of Dangote. So you can imagine that his net worth was between, in 2019, it was about 71 billion. He lost about 9 billion because, again, when you have a good product, sometimes there are unintended consequences. So privacy issues came up, and I think he trivialized it until the courts hit him with a fine of about 9 billion. So his net worth fell by as a result of one's product or service. Okay. So what these people have in common is that they have made a lot of money from seeking to make a difference in the world. And they have transformed the way the world is today. Because we all depend on computers. Okay? Many of us are hooked on Facebook. In fact, Facebook has made many people millionaires through Facebook business. Okay? Many of our entrepreneurs buy from Alibaba, and the model is being copied around the world. So we're seeing that entrepreneurs really transform society and are rewarded with patronage. If your solution is appealing, people will buy. You will have a market and you'll make money. Okay. Henry Ford was also a superstar in his day. He made so much money that people said to him one day, what will happen if you lose your money? Not he would say, I will just die. He said, no problem. I will just think about another problem I can solve. And in another 5 years, I'll be as wealthy as I am today. Okay. So that is the secret of making money in a crisis. What problem has this crisis triggered? What solutions am I able to provide? Okay. And you could just be the connecting point between somebody who has a solution and the one who needs the solution. So that's being a broker. That's the role of a broker. And you don't need to have money to do that. You just need to have connections to be able to connect the two. And of course, if you get a dealer's price and you sell at a retail price, the commission is yours. And after getting enough commissions, one day you can even earn enough to backward integrate into producing yourself and make even more money yourself. So Jack Ma says entrepreneurs make money from solving social problems of others. And of course, in a crisis, problems increase, which means opportunities increase. And I like what he says here. He says, if you want to remain small, solve small problems. If you want to be big, solve big problems. Okay. Richard Branson is another billionaire, and I like the way he describes entrepreneurship. Of entrepreneurship is value creation by providing solutions to the problems and needs of humanity. Now, if I didn't show you Richard Branson's face, you would think that I was talking about social entrepreneurship. And what I want all of us to take away from this session is the fact that mindset that social entrepreneurship means you don't make profits is archaic in the sense that if you don't have a financially sustainable model, you cannot even make that positive impact you want to make. So for you to be able to make an impact and expand your impact, you must have a financially sustainable model. And that is why impact investing, which is making money from making a difference, is a superior model to just saying, I want to be an NGO. And that model of being donor dependent is not sustainable and it is not encouraged. Because then you can't pay your workers well. And of course, if you can't pay well, you can't attract good workers. And therefore, if you have bad workers, the impact you're making is also bad. It's also poor. So at the end of it, everything just falls apart. But if you have a financially sustainable model, you can attract good workers, okay, pay them reasonably, and because what you're doing is so good, you can, I mean, you make enough money to be able to expand your impact and your reach and transform the lives of many more people. That's the way I'd like all of us to think. So if we're business owners seeking only to make money, I would like us to make the transition to becoming entrepreneurs who make money from solving problems and continuous improvements. Now, if you solve a problem, if you come up with a solution and you solve a problem without improving, continuously improving, you may end up like BlackBerry or Nokia or Polaroid or Xerox, who are out of the markets today. Okay? So Nokia is trying to come back now, but the point is, you don't want to swing back to being a business owner. Okay, you want to become an entrepreneur.
Okay, I think Dr. Henrietta is having a few issues with our network. I'll try and reach her, and I'm sure she'll be back in a bit. But she has been saying so much. I've just been taking notes here, and I was just about taking notes of what she said last. That if you do not want to swing back to becoming a business owner from an entrepreneur, you need to constantly innovate, and that resonates with me. And she's been saying so much. My notes are getting full, and it's been exciting having her on the session. I'm sure she'll be back shortly. Hopefully, she resolves a network issue quickly. But if we have questions, I've been seeing some of us asking questions about certain sector of business that we're in. I've noted some of them, but if we have questions, we can also put it on the chat, and then I can read them later on your behalf. You can also include your name if you want your name mentioned, and then I can. If you have questions already from the things she have said, please do put your questions across. But I will just do some recap for those starting businesses. And one of the things she said, or the key thing she said, was the fear of failure. And the interesting thing is that, okay, hold on, let me just speak to her. Hello. Okay, I'll hold forth then. We're all waiting here. Yeah. As we're waiting, so I'll hold forth. Okay, okay. I'm sure that's a business problem I can solve for Dr. Henrietta, so I'm taking notes. Okay, so she's trying to resolve our internet issues, so please let us give her about 2 to 3 minutes. She's going to connect back to the session. So I was saying earlier that she said something that why do people not start businesses? And one of the key reasons is fear of failure. And she said something as a follow-up to that, that fear of failure is valid. And why is that valid? That from statistics, from research, 90% of businesses fail in the first 1 or 2 years of starting out. So it means if we are 10 here, most likely 9 of us will have a failed business in a year or two. So those fears are valid. And then she went on to talk on why do businesses fail. As she said, people start businesses for the wrong reason. People start businesses for the wrong reasons. And one of those reasons, usually, I want to make money. There's this business that is profit making. Everybody is saying is moving. And if we all remember when the old rave of pure water, sachet water started in Lagos, it's like initially, I remember growing up as a child, it was water was always in a bottle. For those that are as old as I am, I'm not very old, trust me. And it was always in bottles. And you will discover that years down the line, once it moved to sachet water and everybody started catching in on that fever, everybody wanted to open up a sachet water business. And at some point, I mean, the space was flooded with people just wanting to start sachet water because it was making money. And then after a while, some people failed in that business because the sole reason they went in was just to make money, not to drive value. And that's one thing Dr. Henrietta also talked about. She talked about the fact that people start business for the wrong reason. They start with an exploitative mindset. So they are more interested in making profits than selling a good product. And over time, when you don't have a good product to keep you in business, your business will fail. Then you cannot have referrals. Because if you sell me a bad product, then I'll tell people to avoid you and not use your product going forward. I need to be sure that Dr. Henrietta is back. She's not. Okay. I'm sure she will join us, so please hold on. As we know, internet can be troubling in our part of the world. I'm sure she will join soon. Our IT and technical guy, please watch out for Dr. Henrietta when she comes on. Just unmute and put on our video so we can have her during the session back. So I was saying that one of the reasons why businesses also fail is that people have exploitative mindset, like Dr. Henrietta was sharing with us. Another reason, so then she went on to the right reason for starting a business. And one of it is resolve a pain point. People have pain points, and once you find a way to resolve that pain point, then you're in business. And she gave case studies of Max.ng that started a power bike business to sort of substitute the Okada challenge that we have in Lagos. Okay, Dr. Henrietta is back finally. Welcome back. I was just doing a recap of some of the things you had said before you went off. But you can, yeah, you can go on. You can go on from where you stopped. I think you were saying something about you do not want to swing back to becoming a business owner from
Exactly.
an entrepreneur. I think that's where you stopped. So you can go ahead. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So thank you, Sheyi. I heard a bit of the summary and I thought it was brilliant. So it's funny how you learn more when somebody says the same thing in when different people say the same thing in different ways, and then it becomes reinforced. So sorry, I had to change my Wi-Fi. I think it's about to finish, so it cut off. Tried to use the hotspot, it didn't work, so I've come to use another router. So this is the new digital world. So that's another pain point. How do people know that their data will not be sufficient to carry through? That's another problem somebody can solve, because this happens quite a bit. I do a lot of webinars, so I've never been able to know when my data is unable to continue. Anyhow, so I wanted us to quickly run very quickly, because I would like to get your questions. But very quickly, let's look at the steps to successful entrepreneurship. So whether it's a crisis period or normal time, what are those things we need to quickly take note of if we're to succeed in business? It will help if you put this down. To start with, as we said before, be solution driven. So identify problems or needs that you can solve, and then differentiate ideas from opportunities. This is where many people get it wrong, okay? You are passionate about something which you think will be a good business. Now that's an idea. You have to test that idea. If people are willing to pay for it, then that idea is the business opportunity. If people are not willing to pay for it, then it is not an opportunity, okay? So list all the wild ideas that you have and then test them. Sometimes you need to modify them for them to become opportunities. Other times you may need to scrap them But please don't be so in love with your idea that you don't know when to scrap them. And then, of course, and then unfortunately, sometimes also it takes time for ideas to catch on. I mean, Zoom was always there, but we never really paid attention to it because we had Skype, which was a lot easier. We had WhatsApp, okay? But now that all of us are forced to go digital, we're finding that Zoom actually has more features that we need than the other things. So again, it's with wisdom and advice, because Zoom could have given up while it didn't have the bulk of the market, but they hung on and their time has come and they're making it really big now. Okay, so again, being purpose driven, nothing good comes easy. As somebody said today, resilience is one of the most important aspects of entrepreneurship, one of the most important things an entrepreneur must have for you to be able to remain in business, because you will go through challenges. I find it very strange when somebody tells me, oh, they went here, they told them no, so they came back, what should they do? I'm thinking, so everybody hears no, you keep trying until you hear yes. So resilience is key. And when you're purpose driven, when you're passionate about achieving a goal, okay, it gives you more determination to overcome the challenges as you meet them. And then training, as I said before, if you want to fly a plane, please go and learn how to fly a plane before you enter an attempt to fly a plane. Not too long ago, there was this horrible accident. I don't know, a parent indulging his child in America. It was a 10-year-old girl. She wanted to fly a plane. The father said, go ahead. She flew. Of course, she crashed and she died. And the father was saying, at least she got what she wanted. I just thought this man needs to be put somewhere. You know, learn. Okay? So if you want to succeed in business, these sort of trainings help you understand what to do. Again, our forefathers understood that they needed to learn, and that is why apprenticeship was a way of life. People learned from their parents, okay? And by the age of 18, they were already experts in a skill or trade with which to bring up their families. And, you know, everybody had something to do. Unemployment did not exist, okay? So you may say now there's no room for apprenticeship because there's so many new ideas. Where could Mark Zuckerberg have apprenticed? But you see, the alternative for apprenticeship is starting small while thinking big. Many times we're looking for somebody to give us plenty of money so we can, you know, launch, rent a building, or even buy land and build and then start doing the business. No, you start with what you have from your house, from your kitchen, from your bedroom, from the boot of your car. That's okay. And then as you begin to sell and make more money, one day you can rent a place. Do not buy what you can rent. Grow gradually. Now, awareness of legal issues, okay? Make sure that, I mean, now there's some lawyers who offer small businesses services at very affordable prices, okay? Don't underestimate the importance of this, okay? Understand the legal ramifications of the decisions you're trying to make. Avoid signing contracts without consulting a lawyer first. Ask them to look through. You may think this is unimportant until you find yourself losing a lot of money. Just like they're now saying, no, Nigeria was signing away its sovereignty to China because of infrastructure due to borrowing. Okay. All people already shouted about borrowing. What we didn't know was that, you know, one day they will say we're no longer a sovereign nation, and they will show us where we signed it. And maybe the people who did this were unaware. All they were saying was, okay, come and build, operate, and transfer for us, and then that will be fine. So the same thing happens in business. You may be small today, but you can be very big tomorrow. And if you're not careful, you would have signed away your future today because you thought it was it was not important. Do not put fundraising first. Many people, before they start a business, go around begging for money. That is the wrongest and most difficult way to start because you will get discouraged. Most people are afraid of losing their money. So the first thing you should do is start with what you have. Even if what you're doing is making body at home or frying akara and selling, and you tell me, oh, you know, when I started, I only had 1,500 naira. In fact, there was a girl that told me, this is a real life experience now. She started she makes hand washing soap. She started making them in kegs with 1,500 naira. Today, she supplies supermarkets with beautifully packaged hand washing soap, and she's making a lot more money than she made at the beginning. Now, if she comes to me for a loan, I'm more willing to give her a loan because I see she's serious, she knows what she's doing, she has customers, and so she's going to grow, and my investment is likely to come back with returns. So my fears are reduced. So when you start, growth, no matter how small, attracts funding. And then debt is not usually good for startups. So even if the bank says, come, I will give you a loan to start a business, please run away as fast as possible. You know why? Because you will find yourself working for the bank. Any money you make will go into debt repayment. I'm not saying debt is bad. There's a time for debt, but it's definitely not at the beginning of a business. Okay, so it just has too many dangerous points. First, all the no's you will receive will discourage you. Second, you'll end up working for the bank because by the time you finish paying off your workers and your suppliers and your interest, there's nothing left for you to even pay yourself a small salary. So it is better for you to grow slowly because you're also learning the market. Now, and then, so start small, think big, as I said before. And then, of course, start with what you have. And then use the money you're collecting to grow gradually. And then don't forget, that growth phase from being small is also a time when you're acquiring market knowledge. You're learning about suppliers, discovering better ones, better quality, better prices. You're learning about customers, whether you have different segments. Okay, people like my moi moi, but those who want no pepper are quite a significant number. So I must make different types. No pepper, with pepper, super spicy. Okay, maybe when you started, you only had one type in mind. But as you go along, based on what customers say, ask you, oh, do you have the one without pepper? Or do you have the one with egg? Or I only want the one with fish? Or can you make with sausage? You begin to modify and, learn that these are the different types people want. Okay, I know somebody who started with making pap. Today she has pap with vanilla essence, strawberry. In fact, who can ever imagine that pap will have strawberry flavor and vanilla flavor? But she has, because the people who want it. Okay, so the people who want good old plain pap, the people who want the one that has cinnamon, people who are the diabetics who want pap with dates because they don't want to put sugar. So all kinds of things. People want pap with shredded coconut in it. So she has a factory today, and she started from her kitchen. Okay, so, and that takes us into point 6. Focus on meeting customer needs. Some people go into the market and they focus on what the competition is doing. That is not sensible, because your competition may be doing what they like and not what customers want. That's not what will help you. Okay, what will help you grow and make money is doing what customers want. So just like Jeff Bezos, who talks about customer obsession, be obsessed about making sure that customers enjoy what they get from you. They can say, her clothes last, her fabrics are good quality, they don't fade. Okay, or her food is very good because the taste is good and it's clean, because you actually feel very healthy after consuming her snacks or whatever. Okay, so put the customer first. And then, as we said before, continuous improvements. Okay, what worked yesterday will not always work. And your improvements should be based on relevance, not just innovation for the sake of innovating. No. Okay. And involve your staff, because your staff, as your business grows, okay, you start needing to employ people. And because you can't take care of everybody, but your staff will usually be the ones in touch with the customers. They hear a lot of comments. Oh, I love this color. Oh, I like it hot. Oh, I want the one that is crusty. Or I like the one that is not so crusty. And that feedback, if there's communication between you and your staff, allows you know how to improve your products. Okay. And then again, when you're bringing in new ideas from other clients, remember you have to adapt it to your market. I remember I had a student who wanted to start a green farm of tomatoes, greenhouse, planting hydroponics, planting with water. And he went to Spain for 3 months, stayed there. When he was coming back, he had a very generous investor. He brought everything from Spain, from the pesticides to the greenhouse itself, everything you could need. Got to Nigeria. Fortunately, they started with only one greenhouse and everything failed. Why? Because our water is different. Even the pesticides he brought could not kill our Nigerian pests. He had to go and beg the villagers in the vicinity of his farm to come and help him understand how to get rid of the pests. So that first year, everything failed because our weather is different also. So he had to learn how to adapt the technology he was bringing to Nigeria to meet, to be able to plant. I mean, today he's very successful. You yourself, remember when you start a business, your demand is so small you can take care of everything. But as the market begins to grow, you need to employ people. Then you become a leader. And being a leader, just as she was saying at the beginning, means not a question of lording it over people. It's a question of creating a buy-in. Let everybody see this business as theirs. Inspiring commitment. And inspiring commitment takes a different skill set. They said, John Maxwell says, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. You must care for them. The same way you're passionate because you're looking forward to what you will gain at the end, but by creating value, you must also give them a reason to be passionate about the business. Okay? One of the things I tell people is that paying fixed salaries is a nonsense. Nobody's going to kill themselves if they know that whether they kill themselves or not, they will get the same amount of money. So you may pay a basic fixed, but there must be a part that is dependent on meeting targets. That gets most people going. Or you tell them, well, if we hit this target, we can get a staff force. If we hit the next target, we can buy land for every staff. If we hit the next target, we can begin to build the house for every staff, such that in the next 5 years, everybody who works in this company will be a homeowner. They will kill themselves. In fact, you'll be begging them, please take it easy. But right now, if you talk to every entrepreneur in Nigeria, they're complaining about their staff. But it's the system. Many people behave as if, well, there are many people out there without jobs, so you either fall in or fall out. And people fall out, or they steal from you. So even if they were bad people, you have to find a way to motivate them, incentivize them. And not just monetarily, the way they are listened to, carry them along. Because many times they will have good ideas. I remember one of my participants in class shared with me how he's a builder and architect, and he had this very difficult project. So he thought about it and came up with the idea. So the guy, one of his workers was telling me, you see, Oga, I've seen this kind of thing before. Let's do it like this. The guy said, please, just keep all those your ideas. I don't have too much time. I have a tight deadline. Just do what I'm telling you. Go this way, do this, do that. They did what he said, and guess what? The whole thing collapsed and failed. And the guy came and said, well, Oga, I was telling you now that this is not how to do it, that this is how we will do it, and it will work. He now had to eat humble pie and say, okay, let's do what you said. I did what he said, and the thing worked. So if you had listened in the first place, you wouldn't have wasted money. Okay, so we must work on our character. The first thing I tell entrepreneurs is be kind. It doesn't mean you are foolish. Of course, you have to have the courage to send the wrong people away. Okay? It takes time to get good people. There's some people that no matter what you do, they will still behave badly. And so I'm sure some people are thinking about that as I speak. And you're right, okay? But even when you have people who are just neutral, you can make them champions depending on how you treat them. Okay? So affability inspires staff commitment. And when people are happy, they also give the customers a positive experience, and that increases patronage. And of course, growth brings growth to your business. So, and then build and develop your character by watching videos that help you improve, reading books, looking out for mentors, watch out. I mean, all around us, we constantly have good and bad examples. Okay? Learn from people, the good examples around us to be a better leader. And of course, be a person of high value, of principles, honesty. You cannot want your staff not to steal from you and then they see you stealing from customers. It can't work. If you're cheating customers, you're giving your staff permission to cheat you. Okay, so you must walk your talk. Okay, so we see, I mean, we have icons like this. I love listening to videos of Ibuka and Woshika because she doesn't fool around with them. She tells you, look, my success today is a result of sacrifice. Many times when it was easier for me to cut corners and pay a bribe or, I don't know, I chose not to. And that is what I'm enjoying today. So I didn't get here by luck or by chance. It's by dint of very hard work and because of my integrity. She's the first female board chairman of First Bank. They first made her the chairman of one small aspect of the company. And she did well with that. Then they brought her to the board of First Bank proper. And she did well with that. And then they made her chairperson of the biggest bank in the country. Okay? In spite of all the things, while other women are there crying, women are marginalized, this, that. Forget all what people say. You chart your own path. And you chart your own path by maintaining your principles and doing whatever you're doing very well. Image is very important. You want your staff to also represent your company well. Well, you have to start by watching the way you dress, the way you talk, and the way you think. So you lead by example. You lead by example. And then be humble. Be humble. Being humble allows you to do two things. One, to respect your staff, and the second, to defer gratification. Many people are so eager to show that they have arrived that instead of reinvesting into the business, they start buying big cars and living the life. Ego and business don't go together. You have to humble yourself. Because said until she was 40, she didn't buy her first brand new car. She was okay with second-hand cars or Uber. The important thing was to get to where she was going to. But see who she is today. So being humble allows you to make reasonable decisions about your business, okay, reinvesting, and then we see when your staff know they can talk to you, a lot of great ideas come. Even the Ford I was praising before also suffered from not listening to his staff, because even though he was a fantastic guy, changed the mode of transportation from horse carriages to cars, at a point he thought he was the best thing that could ever happen in this world. And even though the environment was changing in the sense that as the post-war period was advancing, people started getting economic power. And when people start having money, they start wanting status symbols. You were eating frozen chicken before, you start saying, I only want fresh chicken. You cannot eat ice fish, you want only fresh fish. You will try Uber. No, I want my own car. And then the car has to be a car that, So this was what was happening in America. And Ford was only producing one kind of car, one model, Model T, and one color, black. Meanwhile, people were beginning to get money. They wanted style besides functionality. Ford staff saw it and tried to tell him. Each time he went to Mr. Ford would say, shut up. I know what they want, to go from point A to point B. The third time the staff came to repeat the same thing to him, he said, you're fired. He's just disturbing me. I'm firing you. 2 months later, Ford found out that he had lost all his customers to Chrysler and GM, who were now producing different models, sleek models with different colors, and people liked it, and they abandoned his Model T, that was only black, and started buying those cars. So Ford was forced to close shop and begin to retool to come up with new models of cars. Just like what happened to Nigeria with Peugeot. In the 70s or 80s, I know you guys are millennials, maybe you didn't see the 70s, but the point is, the only cars on Nigerian roads used to be 504s, for example. 404, 504, 505 was like sleek. Where are they today? Gone, because they didn't innovate as fast as other models like Toyota, Honda, and all the rest. So it's really important to listen to your staff who can have useful information. So again, next point is listen. That is so important, because the best ideas come from the most unexpected places. And then patience. As we said before, start small, think big. Have a vision. A vision is called a vision because it's something in the future, not yesterday or tomorrow. Okay, so work gradually towards your vision. You can't get your vision overnight. And Dangote says this all the time, that young people come to him and say, how did you make it? He says, look, this was 30 years of hard work. He didn't become who he is today, in a flash. And then the result-oriented, go the extra mile to deliver. Nothing good comes easy. Then personal discipline, financial discipline. Pay yourself a salary. Your salary is not profit. Okay, profit is profit, which can be invested into the business. Your salary is an expense item. It's a line expense. So pay yourself a salary and stick to it. And then don't dip your hand into the business beyond your salary. Personal development, we said that before, keep improving yourself. And then of course, resilience. Don't get, discouraged and give up because one problem or the other has come up. And then train holistically. Many people only train for skills, but no, train for values in addition to skills. Train people to have values, morals, and also personal etiquette, personal hygiene. Nobody's going to want your staff back in their house if they are very good, for example, carpenters or plumbers, but they're very rude or they are smelling. So they must understand personal hygiene, must understand personal etiquette to be polite. They must have values. They can't go to someone's house and steal. Okay, and then of course they must do their job very well. So that's holistic training, rounded training. Spoken about these. And then, as I said before, leadership skills. Leaders help people improve. They're multipliers versus diminishers. Okay, bad leaders make people feel small, make them feel incapable. Okay, good leaders make people actually perform beyond what they thought they could actually do. So care for people, teach them, inspire commitment, and also innovation. When people feel really committed to the job, when they feel that I love when they like their boss, they come up with ideas, they share it with you, and then the business grows as a result. And then finally, spirituality. Man is body and soul. You must care for both. If you are not spiritually balanced and sound, as you start making money, you can even lose your focus and lose everything. Yes. We see it every day. Okay? We see it all the time. So it's important that whether you're Muslim, Christian, whatever it is, make sure that you're balanced. Okay? Money has a spirit, and if you're not spiritually connected, the spirit of money can control you in the negative sense. And then it also helps you to have that conscience to do well with people, whether your staff or with customers, and that has financial consequences. So you must have a moral compass and decide before you even become very successful in business, what it is you will never do and what it is you must do. So that when you're faced with temptation, you have already considered it ahead of time to say, I said I will not do anything illegal or illicit. It's not going to be easy, but if you already have that habit and you have inculcated it in your staff, even when you're weak, your staff will help you. Remember, my staff know that we don't do this thing, or they will not themselves will remind you, to help you be strong at the moment of weakness. But all this is fostered and harnessed with your spirituality. Right, so I'll stop here and I'll take your questions. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope it has been useful.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Henrietta, for that very insightful session. I mean, if we're going to Lagos Business School to pay for a session like this, I don't want to talk about the amount, but we are so grateful. It shows that you have a heart for entrepreneurs. It's beyond what you do for earnings. It's a mission for you, and we always appreciate you, especially at the Impact Your World family. That every time we call, you're always showing up for us. You made one of the case studies you came up with, GoMax, and interestingly, I followed the GoMax story quite well, and the GoCarda, and when government came up with a policy that just switched and took them out of business. Yeah. Yes, maybe they have a bit of resilience that they tried to evolve and transform and then go into delivery and all of that. But the kind of money they were making from taking people from the mainland to the island and island back to the mainland, people that lived in Ikorodu that could have spent 4 hours in traffic could do island in 1 hour and vice versa as well, is during this COVID era, we've seen government also, this government has, and I'm glad that you've been part of the NESG space in helping government shape policy economically and all of that. Now, we know that through the Vice President's office, there's been a lot of, growing tribute or growing conversation around ease of doing business. Now, CAC came up with a new policy direction in terms of how do we deal with the COVID or people not having to come to the office physically to pick up certificates of registration and all of that, and to also people and do emails. But I discovered when I looked at their website today before this session, I discovered that they were talking about having courier companies send document back and forth and all of that. And we know that at the end of the day, this policy, even though it may be well intended, at the end of the day, it could have cost implications for small businesses who want to start well and also register their businesses. So if you can tie both questions that I have as to now that we have CAC coming up with new guidelines and policy on registration and then delivery for clients who demand registration and their certificate, how do you begin to manage all of those cost implications and then government policy on one hand where there seems to be a conflict where government is saying they are easing business, then there's one policy on the other hand that stifle businesses. I hope I've not said so much.
You said a lot. So I wanted to answer the first question first of all. The first question was about how entrepreneurs can survive sudden policy changes, like what Max NG went through. Okay, so I before this session, because I know the founders of Max NG, I actually called one of the two partners, and I said to him, I wanted to know what they were doing now because I'm going to have a webinar, and I'd like to present them as an example. And they're doing very well. So every entrepreneur needs resilience because the road is always rough. In Nigeria, yes, one of our biggest problems is having erratic government policies, contradicting policies here and there, and you see, you have to find a way to survive. The minute, as I said, explained before, they banned them in Lagos, they were not happy because Lagos is a huge market, but they went to other markets, they went to other states and continued with what they were doing, but they were also doing logistics, so that helped to cushion the blow. So the point is, you always have to find a way to survive. So, for example, I know another entrepreneur whose supply chain has suddenly become very expensive. They do hand wash. So, what have they done to reduce their cost? Given that the dollar has changed, I mean, the exchange rate has gone up. Okay, so what they've done is to attach a refill pack, that's a soft plastic, to the normal hand washing pack that has something that you press to extract the liquid wash, and that way they're able to sell 2 packs with 1 container. So they reduce the cost of what typically people would buy the whole thing with the dispenser, but now they're selling 2 packs with 1 dispenser as a way of reducing cost to the customer and also their cost of inputs. So the truth is, you can never envisage all the challenges you can find. I've traveled widely and I found out that Nigeria is not the only place entrepreneurs have problems. The problems are just different in different countries, but problems there are everywhere. So as an entrepreneur, you have to be constantly finding creative ways to solve whatever problem hits you. That's just the truth. I have another friend who runs a restaurant. She was never online, but during COVID, she went full-time online, told her staff, everybody will be accommodated in the facility. Nobody was going home so they don't get infected. And guess what? She made even more business during the lockdowns than before the lockdowns, because it turns out that many women don't know how to cook. And of course, many of them are in Ikoyi Lekki. So she was their saving grace. She was just taking breakfast, lunch, and dinner to certain families. And that was standard, So, and she was able to do that because she just engaged a reliable logistics company that was delivering the food to the people. So you are constantly modifying your business model, pivoting, or trying to find ways to navigate the environment. The market is in constant flux. Now, with regards to ease of doing business, I'm not aware of this new policy you're saying, where they're saying that you must bring your documents physically. I mean, that's like going backwards.
So
really,
what I was trying to explain there was, so they are coming up with a new guideline, I think this month, starting 24th or so of this month, where you would not be required to come physically to the CAC space to pick up your documents. Usually lawyers help with picking up of documents, or owners of businesses go directly and pick up the certificate of registration. Now they want to engage courier services to pick up or to send documents to their customers or whoever put in an application. Now I'm
Yeah.
talking about the cost implication that goes with that. Even though
Oh,
it's yes, it's well intended, but we
yeah.
know if, for example, I'm living somewhere where there's no the major CSA office, of course, is in Lagos and Abuja, and then
Yeah.
maybe I use Lagos, and maybe I live somewhere in Imo. I need to pick up my
Yes.
registration, and I'm paying for courier service. That's
Yes.
additional cost
Cost.
to me wanting to
Okay.
formalize my business structure. How do you
Right.
then begin to manage that?
Right. So before I start calling something a problem, looking for a solution, I always ask why. So I would need to know why they came up with that policy before I can make a judgment as to whether it is good or bad. It could be that they're trying to avert fraud. I don't know. But it's always better to understand where people are coming from, because many times the most absurd things have a good reason for it. Even though, yes, it's true that in Nigeria we've had a history of a lot of, I don't know, unreasonable policies because of someone's personal interest. But I happen to know the people that work in ease of doing business. And I've also written to them directly with my challenges. I mean, you can't be doing ease of doing business when Nigerians are dying. What about security for the people? Okay, multiplicity of taxes, etc. So, and they tell me, don't worry, we're fighting strong people who are behind all of these. So it takes time, but we're on it. Okay, so I definitely would need to find out why that policy was put in place, and before I can say, oh, it's wrong. But typically, anybody who is registering should be able to have, I mean, courier is not that expensive, to be honest, and it's only a one-off cost. But even at that, if it's unnecessary, don't charge it, okay? But maybe your lawyer already charges you and you don't know, because the lawyer, when he's charging you his fees for helping you register, doesn't break it down for you. He just says, this is the cost, this is what I will take from you to register your business. So it already includes the courier fee. So you're not doing anything separate from what we do before. But I'd like to really understand why that policy is there. That's how I solve my problems. I want to understand you, first of all. I want to understand why you're doing what you're doing, and then I'll be able to explain why perhaps we can do something in a different way.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Henrietta, for that response. So I'll quickly try and make some questions. I have a question here. Someone says, what advice do you have for NGOs to both make impact and still have a sustainable source of income? I think that goes with your impact investment class that you're taking us on. So you take that in most people. Then there's another question. Someone asked a question earlier. I think it is Juliet. I think she was trying to find out, how you manage the dynamics of business in luxury fashion brands. I know you've discussed a lot of principles, but I think she's trying to narrow some of.
Lagos Business School is an NGO. Well, guess what? We charge high fees because we realize that the donations we receive cannot cover the quality of education we want for our participants. And so we have to charge fees. And then, of course, if you want people to come and get world-class training, you have to be able to pay world-class facilitators, otherwise they will not come. So because the world-class facilitators also have their own financial obligations to meet. And so because of that, we have to charge commensurate. People come and the compound, the landscape is so beautiful, the classrooms are so beautiful, we love the training, we love the food, all those things cost money. So you may be not for profit, but you shouldn't be for loss, and you must cover your costs. And of course, as our patronage continues to grow, we continue to expand. So not for profit means that you reinvest your profit into the business. So you must have a financially sustainable business model, okay? So I'll give an example. I've been thinking about how to give orphans or poor children, vulnerable children from underprivileged backgrounds, good quality education. And it occurred to me that we can have what we call school ventures. So imagine a school attached to a venture like a bakery or a farm or a beauty training school or even a tailoring academy. What this means is that the students will school part-time and maybe once a week go and work in the factory. Class 1, JS1 will go and work on Mondays, JS2 on Tuesdays, JS3 on Wednesdays, and so on and so forth. So that the bread that is produced in the bakery can be sold to shops and stores, and the money used to pay the teachers and feed the children. Now, guess what? By the time the children graduate, they won't only have their SSC, They will also have a skill with which they can even do business on their own and take themselves to university. Because while they were in school, free of charge, I mean, free in the sense that, well, they had to earn their tuition by working in the bakery. So if you needed 50 people to work in that bakery, you can only employ 5, and then the students will help the person. So that means that the students are earning their tuition. They're not paying for the tuition, but they're earning it because the products from the bakery where they work will eventually, provide the revenue streams to take care of the expenses of the school. Now, imagine that they're attached to a tailoring academy. Fantastic. That tailoring academy will train them to sew. Then they can have a business of sewing uniforms for hospitals, for schools, for prisons, for companies. And that business, the money that they make will be used to pay the teachers and also cover their boarding expenses. And then they finish school, they can even start their own tailoring business because they have been so well trained that they will do a great job and they will have people who are willing to pay them well for their work. So you must look for a way to make yourself financially sustainable. Okay, donor dependence is not sustainable because sometimes things can happen to your donors, and then if something happens to your donors, you're also put off. You're off because you have to pay your workers. Okay. Your second question, Sheyi, was what? Now remind me.
And so someone's asking about how to manage in the luxury fashion business. So I'm thinking in this COVID crisis, how
Right.
do you
So you
build
have
your resilience?
yes, you need to pivot because right now, well, some people are still doing yes, there's still a bit of demand, but much less. So if you look at people like what's her name now? There's Rough and Tumble who has pivoted, and also Coca. What's her name now? Tiffany Amber. They've all had to make a pivot into producing hospital, face masks, face shields, sheets, pillowcases, and everything you need for the medical facilities, because that's where there's huge demand, and they have staff who can do it well. Yes, it's true everybody's making face masks, but how many people are making good quality face masks? Okay, so you're not in business to do what you've always done. You must if you have in mind that you should be purpose driven. Okay, so if you're in business to serve society, which is actually the original purpose of a business, to serve society, you have to ask yourself, if what I was doing was serving society before, but is no longer serving society, how can I use my available resources? Where is it now needed? So for example, I told you about Innoson. Innoson produces different kinds of cars, but during this COVID period, they focused on ambulances because that was what was most needed by all the states. Okay, so that is it really. You have to ask yourself, how can this now serve me? I have a couple of fashion designers who keep on sending me things by WhatsApp. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not even wearing my work clothes, talk less of my outing clothes. Okay, so yeah, there are a couple of Zoom parties, but hey, you only see the top, so it's not a big deal, and that's not enough to give you the usual clientele base. So you must pivot to see where you can be relevant. Maybe helping people, giving classes about helping people understand what suits their figure, or showing what is required, because right now they need a lot of nursing uniforms. Everybody is all the medical personnel are on duty. Okay, how can you connect to the area of need? What are the pain points right now? Or, for example, people who have lost their jobs want to learn how to sew. Start an online thing for teaching people how to sew. And if there are many of them, what do you call it now? You can reduce the fee because there are many people and you still make a lot of money. Okay? If many people are paying you, most people, the friends I have who are in the fashion business and have a training school, charge millions. But if you suddenly charge only 100,000 or 200,000, you have 50 students, that's a lot of money. Okay, so you train them to learn how to sew, and by the time COVID is over, all of them can do something, or they can, I don't know, make things. I told my tailor, look, you know what? Now is Zoom all the way for many of us who are still working from home. So just make tops for me for Zoom. Just make tops, because I don't wear. How do you know I'm not wearing slippers right now? Okay, if I was in class, of course I'll have to wear my shoes, but In Zoom, you only see the top. So people just need Zoom tops, really.
Yeah.
So we need to pivot. Either you modify from what you're doing now, or think, what other skills do I have? I have a friend who's a travel agent. What did she do? Because she's also a fitness junkie, she did an online course on fitness and got certified and started doing fitness training. So she does fitness training with people on video. So people subscribe, they pay her 30K, and that same video, she has a couple of videos. So once you pay, you have access to the video. It's not as though she's there doing it with everybody who has paid, but you have access to the video at your own time. You can do the exercises, but she listens to you, gives you a meal plan, and she's getting results. And guess what? She's asking the people, can I put your picture before and after? And the more she puts the pictures of her customers before and after, the more customers she's getting. Okay. So she didn't say, because I'm a travel agent and now there are no flights, I'm just lamenting my situation. No, you have to ask yourself, what else can I do so that things work? If you cook very well, move from sewing for now to, providing meals. Let people know that if they want their soups made, you can help them out. As I said before, many women don't know how to cook. So they're looking for people who can cook and deliver to them.
Thank you for those responses. So I'll take one last set of questions. So I was asking a question around business school. So whether to go to an Ivy League school or go to Lagos Business School. So I'll leave you to respond to that. Then secondly, someone's asking, I think you already responded to someone's question around being a fitness instructor. How can I reach more people? So your response on doing a video, having a YouTube page or something to reach more audiences and getting them to pay actually answers that question.
Yeah.
So I think there's a question. Okay, so there's someone asking, a company just entering the market, how do you successfully penetrate the market to reach standard of competitors around and gain customer interest as well? So just dealing with competition as a startup.
Let me start with the last question. Look, if you're a new company, the question is, what is your purpose? Why? What are you offering? What problem are you solving? Forget about the competition. I said that before during the presentation. It doesn't matter what competition are doing. What problem are you solving, or what need are you meeting? Now, try to be the one that meets your customers than anyone else. Forget about competition. Within a few weeks or months, you take them out if you are doing a better job than they're doing. So forget about them. Just make sure you're purpose-driven. Be clear about your purpose. Okay, that's one of the paradigm shifts I want you to make about business. You've got to be impact-driven or purpose-driven. You must have a sense of purpose. Why am I here? What do customers need me for? You can't just be in the market to make money and outshine the competition. That's the recipe for failure. That was my first slide. Why do businesses fail? They fail because they don't have a sense of purpose. They're there to make money, not to serve society, not to solve any problem. Okay. So once you're clear about the problem you want to solve, then you say, okay, who do I want to solve this problem for? Even if I want to provide people with shoes, am I providing shoes for corporate ladies, or for old women, or for people who have painful feet, or for children? Because all these different market segments have their peculiarities and their different requirements. So just be clear about your solution and for which market segment, and then be the one to do the best job. Talk to your customers, follow up. Are you happy with this? I'm willing to change it if you're not happy with it. Let me know how we can, meet your needs perfectly, and you see that you take the market. Okay. For the fitness guy, my friend used to be fat. So she put her picture of when she was fat and when she was slim, and that was convincing enough for people to know that this lady can help. Of course, during the lockdown, people were just eating. They were not going out, and they were getting fat. So they needed that service. So you actually have a captive market. People want to keep fit. I exercise every single day because I don't want to, become fat myself. So you're very needed at this time, but you have to know how to market yourself on Instagram, use a WhatsApp business, and all of that. Now, the guy for the Ivy League, Lagos Business School is an Ivy League in Nigeria, okay? And I dare say globally because we have global certifications. Now, the issue is not whether you come to Lagos Business School or you go to an Ivy League. The issue is, what are you looking to get, okay? Some people who come to our school for the MBA, for example, already have an MBA from other universities, but they realize that They have the certificates, but they don't have the knowledge, and they want the knowledge, so they come. How do I know? Because that's what they tell us. Okay, so you don't just want to go. Yeah, it's true. If you have Harvard on your CV, okay, it opens the door, but you still need to prove yourself. So at the end of the day, it's really about, it boils down to you. I also tell my students the same thing. LBS will open doors for you, but you will, the one who will ensure that the door remains open for you or the door closes back in front of you. Okay? Because it depends on what you do with the knowledge that you gain. But I can assure you that we won't give you anything less than you will find anywhere else in the world. And I know this because I've also taught in Ivy League schools in the US.
Thank you very much. I think at this point, we may have to close shop here. It's been an amazing session. I mean, you've been speaking since about 6:10. Wow. Thank you so much. I mean, one would know the person that has the teacher's trait. Teachers can speak for a long time. Thank you so much, Ma. And I must say that on behalf of the team at Impact Your World, Engineer Oduma Kinde, we are so grateful that you always are partnered with us in the vision to keep making the world a better place. And today we have helped businesses. In fact, something that resonated with me when you were speaking is character, kindness, resilience. I mean, these are very mundane things, if that's the right word, but they really drive what you do. And thank you so much. I mean, the comment section is filled with how you truly transform them. Even JB is like, wow, this is life transforming. So you have indeed touched lives today. Thank you so much, Ma. And we hope that, again, when we reach out to you, you will respond as usual.
No problem. All right, have a good evening. Have a good evening, everybody. And I wish you all the best as you process your endeavors, okay? All the best. Thank you so much. I can see all your kind words. Thank you for your kind words. Thank you. Thank you.
So if any of you can wait, we have this song that also stimulates people at the Impact Your World, and is our Impact Your World anthem. So can Precious please just play the Impact Your World anthem as we slowly end this session. So Precious, go ahead. So if you want to listen to the song, please stay on. It's a very inspiring song, and I'm sure you want to hear it.
I am ready. I am someone that will make a change. I'm determined. I'll take a stand against all odds. Would be strong, impacting my world. And I will make this world a better place in the best way that I can. When tomorrow and forever comes, I'll stand strong. I'll stand strong. We are ready. We are people to make a change. We're determined. We'll take a stand against all odds. We will stand strong, impacting our world. And we will make this world a better place in the best way that we can. When tomorrow and forever comes, we'll stand strong. So we stand strong, 'cause we are ready. And we will make this world stand against all odds. We will stand strong, impacting our world.
Okay, I think the audio went south there, but I think that's pretty much it.